as much as this is a very bad map for infantry at large, I do think that one castle is a good opportunity for infantry to actually do something of value, simply because they're lagging behind so much they might as well. So we're gonna begin the grind. We're gonna heal up these green units. I like her animations. They're cool as a princess. I hope this large-scale map sign never returns, but I don't like what it does to infantry units. I think that the large-scale maps can work with infantry if the maps were designed with them in mind. If there were, like, side objectives that infantry are well-suited for, then I think it could work. And I actually have an example. I did a video on it. There's a ROM hack. If you want to see a game that has large-scale maps similar to FE4, but the infantry still feel worthwhile, check that video out. It's a review of a hack that I think does just that. What if the roads only buffed infantry? That is actually something that I think, I was talking about with one of my friends, like, you know, how would we, like, help the infantry problem, right? I think that roads either only impacting infantry, or my thoughts are, what if roads primarily impacted infantry, right? You know how cavaliers get slowed down by forests more than infantry do, but both groups get slowed? What if infantry got sped up by roads more than cavalry did, but both groups got slowed? Or both groups got sped, right? And then you also get the scale, because cavaliers get less of a bonus, infantry get more of a bonus, and flyers get no bonus. Since flyers are usually better than cavaliers, and so you get that sort of sliding scale of just how much specific unit types are benefiting. What if infantry weren't slowed by forests? That's another option, although you would have to put more forests, because FA4 doesn't really have any other than the fucking spirit forest, right? Like, other forest locations for, like, side objectives or something. Otherwise, it just doesn't matter, right? That's why desert maps... I don't think desert maps are a good solution to the infantry versus cavalry problem. Because, one, flyers don't fucking care about it. But two, it's like one map, right? It just makes it a single, like, unfun map. You don't train up a group of infantry in every single chapter just to have a slightly less bad time in the desert map. Instead, like, the way that you can make infantry work, I think Fire Emblem 6 is actually really good at this, because you have one of the best cavalry, like, one of the best showings for cavalry, right? The Game Boy Advance cavalry, they have rescue, they have canto, they have multiple weapon types, and yet, by both hamstringing promotion options and giving you infantry with better stats as compared to the cavalry, you end up, oftentimes in Fire Emblem 6, training a balance. Because you want to have the benefits that come from horses and from flyers. But you also want units like Rutger, units like Echidna, units like Barter. These really, really powerful combat units. Now, it drops the ball in the second half because you get Milady and Percival, and then it's just like, well, sorry, infantry, get fucked. But I do think in the first half of the game, you know, training up someone like Deke, you know, has a value. I haven't played FE6, but I like that approach to design. Yeah, I think it's why, you know, obviously, the cast is still somewhat unbalanced. It's definitely not perfect. And like I say, Milady and Percival, like, just buck the trend. But it's why if you compare something like the Sacred Stones, where you similarly get really strong infantry units, like Garrick. Deucel's not infantry, but he might as fucking well be, because he's still 6 move. You get those guys, but in those games, no, Sigurd, don't die. Baby girl, don't die. In those games, you still, like, even with the huge stat advantage, Garrick is still worse than, like, Franz, Ford, and Kyle. Deucel is still worse than Franz, Ford, and Kyle, despite how enormous his stats are. Because, the stat difference doesn't matter when the enemies are weak, right? Game over, lol. Game over!